Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's study session for the City of Casa Grande City Council. And I think first item on our agenda is a discussion of the format of the Destination Marketing Organization. Mr. Raines, you want to kick this off?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to present before you this evening. We actually have two topics on the study session, but we will start with the formation of a destination marketing organization. And the mayor and council is well aware of the discussions that we've had related to developing an action item in our strategic agenda to actually promote and market from a destinations perspective our community a little more aggressively. We've been working on this for several years now, but there was a bit of a pause during the pandemic. And most recently, the staff has taken the necessary steps to actually do the advertising for a potential increase in the bed tax to fund a marketing organization. But this evening, what we thought we would do is allow Renee Luzon-Ben, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, to provide the mayor and council with a bit of an overview on the plan. And I think most importantly, she will be covering a new refresh topic, which is the strategic plan that they've gone through, and maybe even talk a little bit about the formation of the board. I guess just one item before I hand the baton to Ms. Luzon-Ben is that the mayor and council will see in your executive session items this evening. Staff intends to present the mayor and council with the draft agreement, proposed agreement with the Chamber of Commerce, and talk more about the legal provisions of that particular document, but that will happen in executive session this evening. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll hand over the microphone to Renee.
Thank you. Can you hear me all well?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for allowing me to come here and talk about our Destination Marketing Organization, aka DMO. The purpose is really important, and again, I think that Mr. Raines touched on it, is as this community grows, having a roadmap in place with a plan, and in that plan including marketing, intentional marketing of our community to draw tourism here, the type of tourism we want. And so when you look at marketing Casa Grande, you're looking at what has been occurring over the years is the City of Casa Grande and the Economic Development Office. There's marketing that occurs there, and that's to draw business here, and recruiting business and jobs are developed from that, and you have an economic impact. And the Chamber of Commerce has a role advocating for local businesses, and we're also a visitor center, and so we do some marketing, but not to a grand scale. We don't have a robust budget for that. And then lastly, the Destination Marketing Organization would be maintaining that visitor center, but also attracting visitors and then generating more tourism revenue here in the city. You see in this diagram here, just kind of the overlap of it all. You've got the city, and that one spot in the center is integration of the collaboration of all three entities, or the two entities developing the Destination Marketing Office. And that's focused and intentional: tourism, economic development, and community engagement. And community engagement is important because if the community doesn't support this, then it can go awry. So we want, as much as we will be marketing to the outside of Casa Grande and recruiting people to come here, attracting people to come to Casa Grande to come stay, play, and maybe eventually live, it's important also that our residents are our ambassadors. So the creation of the DMO is going to be, it is representative because we have a list of names who have all said yes. To be on the advisory board, we have not met yet, but it is our goal to meet before we are fully formed and before we have an agreement in hand, and that we can review some of these documents together as a group, as well as the plan that Larry mentioned. The representation will be the city, of course, the mayor, and the public information officer. She's responsible, that position is responsible for the messaging of our community, and it's important that we're collaborating on messaging about tourism here in Casa Grande and reasons to visit here, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. It would be myself as well as the incoming chair for the Chamber of Commerce. The Downtown Main Street program, we have here Ms. Ricosi supporting this event tonight. And then industry partners, they're stakeholders as well. We've confirmed 2 hoteliers, we've confirmed 2 restaurateurs to participate in this, as well as a community member. So it's a well-rounded group of representatives of tourism, as well as our community. The creation of this DMO is not just about having an advisory board, but also about the resources to execute a robust marketing plan and marketing activities. This budget was drafted in 2019, and this is assuming a $360,000 DMO budget. $200,000 of that would be focused on marketing activities, including, but not limited to, print, digital, and public relations outreach. Branding, well, we kind of got a head start on that already with our beautiful neon sign logo. But what we need to do, and that's part of our plan, is to elevate that brand through more marketing and people making more of the connection with that in Casa Grande. The brand is a promise. Every brand is a promise. What they experience here is going to be what their connection to the brand. Print materials, tourism brochures through the Arizona office, throughout all of the AOT, Arizona Office of Tourism Visitor Centers, and airport visitor kiosks. Billboard messaging, social media marketing using Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. It's a thing. It's huge. I just came from the governor's conference on tourism and everything. There's TikTok influencers everywhere. Public relations, and that's also, purchasing editorial and stories to be printed in our media around the state. A DMO visitor website. I did a sit through a designer for that, and so it would have a similar look and feel of the website you see now, but it would be a toggle back and forth between Chamber and Explore Casa Grande, and could evolve to the point where it's going to have you plan your trip to Casa Grande and put in your dates here. So there are some very robust software designers that can help us do that and still kind of look and feel like it does now. And then community events, planning something new and promoting all of our existing ones. 20,000 had been identified for city event or beautification. 80,000, that would be the program and marketing manager. And so that would include the employer-related expenses, their insurance and such, but I'm hoping that dollar amount is still good in 2022. And then $60,000 would be administrative expenses, office, conferences. So the next couple of slides are some examples of some traction we started gaining through the CARES Act grant. First, we redesigned the website, and we chose the look and feel of a website through a chamber database management software provider that had a tourism feel to it. And we wanted people, when they visited our website, to feel like they were visiting Casa Grande. And we partnered with both Chamber Data Systems as well as Blossom Digital Marketing, and Blossom totally localized it. And so when you go through the website, it's about living in Casa Grande. We also invested in digital marketing in a campaign related to all of the sub-brands of the neon sign brand. All of the sub-brands are the stamps that, the IT campaigns. And we had a theme of advertisements on digital media, and that was Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, because we were reaching out to potential employers and businesses looking at Casa Grande as much as we were reaching out to potential campers, people who wanted to come for long weekends, people who wanted to be here for 3 months, the various populations, and connecting with them. And the reporting on this, not only did we meet all of the purchased impressions, but exceeded them, and we had really good click-through activity on all of the ads. Other things we are doing and can be doing, we participate in Arizona Drive Guide. So for those people doing driving trips coming to Casa Grande, we've done 3 different looks now. 2 of the Neon Sign Park, and 1 was the first page of your PowerPoint, hiking Casa Grande Mountain. So it is our goal to cycle through every one of those golf, hiking, museums so that we can showcase all of these beautiful images we have to show people about coming to enjoy Casa Grande. I know the mayor would like this one. Billboards, whether it be here in Arizona or whether it be outside of Arizona, encouraging people to come here. We're the best place in between. You have a great value to stay in Casa Grande for a vacation. Your proximity to other parts in Arizona and to enjoy some day tripping is fantastic. You get the best of it all. Something else we'd like to be in is the Arizona Tourism Guide. There are over 400,000 of these tourism directories distributed throughout Arizona. And they're kind of spendy, but we're looking at some Arizona Office of Tourism Cooperative Partnership dollars to see if we can get a 50% discount. And then something we've already done is this year we developed a visitor's guide, and this is a perfect fit for those people who are not going to be here for 90 days, but instead someone coming in for a week. And we have a lot of people come in and they're just looking for not our community resource guidebook directory, something like that fits in a brochure stand. And these are much more sensible to send out to the visitor centers. And they've been very popular. We have sent over, out of the 10,000 we've received, we've sent out over 5,000 and distributed. So how does this happen? Well, we talked about the budget, but then the way to make this happen is the bed tax. It's paid by visitors, hotel guests. I just spent 2 nights at the Camelback Inn, and I'm not quite sure what that bed tax was. It wasn't huge. I think it was a little more than here, though. We invest to attract new visitors in business, so it is an investment in Casa Grande. Our current sales tax is 1.8% to the general fund. We have a 2% bed tax currently, and we'll continue to support youth and youth services with that 2%. But most in Maricopa County are at 5%, and Pima is at 6%, and I just looked at this chart the other day, and that is still the same. So the recommendation is and the request is to recommend raising the bed tax by 3% from the current 2 to 5%, and to use those dollars in between to market Casa Grande. And what is the benefit? The benefit is to Casa Grande. We have more people coming in. We generate revenue. When people see that we are getting more tourism, other hoteliers want to build here. So that creates jobs. We're going to see more jobs in tourism. Workforce diversification, I think a new industry location of choice. And then resident community of choice. And you think about the places that people talk about with pride. While I think Gilbert and Chandler are all well and good, they're just not Casa Grande, and we don't want to be like those 2 places. Sorry, I brag to people up there all the time, like, we don't want to be like that. So the next steps, and we are here, we are here, is the study session, revisiting this, the support letter from the hoteliers, which we've had, the council action, and then the implementation of the city's agreement with us, and then funding and hiring a person and getting this off the ground. We need to walk before we can run, but we need to start walking now. This is something we were able to do as well, and thank you to the city for supporting part of this. This was a special offer at last year's Governor's Conference on Tourism to participate in a cohort for a strategic planning session with Carraggio Group, which is the consultants that actually worked with the Arizona Office of Tourism on their 3-year plan. Their 3-year plan is a 1-pager, just like that. We're proud. We had participation from LaTanya as well as Brian Gardenier. Our cohort was 3 people. And we've, set our priorities for the first 2 years of things to do, and we look forward to engaging our advisory board in this and then bringing to you results. Any questions?
Just on that last one, we probably need to change those CMO to DMOs in that strategic plan.
Thank you. I will.
Just to make sure we cover our bases.
Yes, the importance of DMO is one, I believe it is a phrase that is preferred by the Arizona Department of Revenue. It's also a phrase that is recognized by the Arizona Office of Tourism. You identify as a city your destination marketing organization, and as such, we're able to apply for funds through their Arizona Rural Cooperative Marketing Program, which this year is up to $75 in match. They're going to go back to $50,000 next year, but this year they're still because of the pandemic. And then there's another program that started last year, which is a Visit Arizona initiative. And I spoke with some people there, and I actually showed them this, one of the people from the AOT, and she recommended that we pursue maybe some of those marketing dollars through the VAI, and it would just help supplement what we'd be asking from the city to do this. So we'll look for these opportunities every year, but as we start to walk and then run, there may be needs for who knows.
Thank you, Renee. Well done.
Thank you.
I know we've been working on this for a long time, so. Mr. Powell.
I just would like to comment, I think it's a great presentation. But there's also a group of people that are called agricultural that surround us, and they're about 40% normally of what goes into Pinal County. They're failing because they need help. But we had a meeting not too long ago. I see 2 people that were in it about trying to bring water down here. We're in such a tough situation right now. Both of the reservoirs are almost dead now. And if they don't get water, the water has to come from the east to flow into them. You can't just take a glass up there and put some behind the dam, but they really need help. And we would love to get some help doing a study to see, what it would cost and how it would work. But basically, just very quickly, it would harvest floodwater in Davenport, Iowa, that happens every year. They had $19 billion worth of damage on the Mississippi in 2019, so it can be pretty severe. But what we wanted to do is put a diversion dam there and then have 1,000 miles of pipeline. We had pipe fitters at our meeting that would bring the water down to basically at the bottom of Wyoming. That water would flow in behind both of those reservoirs. And there's really hardly any other way to get that water in there in a convenient way, and we're going to all be in trouble in a lot of ways.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for waiting until I'm through. And so I would really like to have everybody work toward that or think about it, and I think it's probably the most important thing on the front right now as far as Arizona's economy. Thank you for waiting. You did okay?
Go ahead, Matt.
On that, kind of a good point, we've got agricultural tourism around here too, that raise awareness of that. Also, I'm still, I like the makeup of the board. I think that's gonna be the key to this being a successful organization. And are you, I should know this, but you're hiring a full-time person?
Yes.
Yes,
To run this in
Yes.
addition and work
Yes.
with the chamber and everybody, okay.
Yep,
yes.
separate department.
They're
I knew that, but I just
They're
wanted
gonna
make sure
take the
everybody knew that.
baton and
What's
run
that?
with it. They'll
Oh.
report to me, but they're gonna be responsible to execute
This is
everything.
all they work on.
All right,
Deploy, execute.
good.
How many active hotel rooms Casa Grande has right now? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
How many active hotel rooms Casa Grande has right now?
I was just asked this Friday morning, and I apologize for not knowing that number. Hotel rooms, I'm going to say not enough.
Yeah, at one point in time, we had that number. I want to say 3,000?
When we did it the first time, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Is all 360,000 coming from the bed tax?
Yes.
Yes. And this was estimated, I'll be completely honest, this was estimated prior to my joining the chamber, so this number
number's probably
was
low.
based on those. But I know that the occupancy has been high throughout the pandemic as well.
Yeah, just so everybody knows too, a DMO and a bed tax today, not 10 years ago, but today, the monies have to be spent on destination marketing. It's a state ordinance, so
Yes.
we really don't have if you tax the bed tax, you have to spend it on destination marketing. So, it's probably, that number's probably low, that estimate is low, but we won't really know until such time we start collecting it. So there's still some work to be done, obviously, the board needs to be finalized. Then they'll hire a full-time person, and then hopefully with that help of that full-time person, then we build a little more detailed plan.
Yeah.
Right, so not knowing exact dollars, not knowing the person who we're going to hire, there's still some work needs to be done. But as I like to remind Renee, it's the chicken or the egg, thing. You've got to get the tax set up, and then we can move forward with the details, more details. I think there's some good detail here, but there needs to be more.
And just, of course, you talk destination marketing, and so can you give me an idea, with these dollars, when you're marketing the city of Casa Grande, is that right? And so does that include, parks, some of the attractions,
Yep.
restaurants, hotels?
Yep.
Does it include, some of the
Events.
services, some of our small businesses that might be kind of unique, some services so people don't have to, go out of town or is it strictly restaurants, attractions, parks? Just an idea. I'm just curious how that
It's a
works.
Visit Casa Grande campaign.
Visit
and
Casa
so
Grande,
Visit
okay.
Casa Grande campaign would include all of that,
Okay,
yes.
Good.
okay. And yeah, I would love to see that once you get a little bit more, detail on it, so.
Yeah, the
Great,
board
good job.
will help derive that too, because
Yeah.
obviously we wanted to get a pretty rounded
Yeah.
board, so there's some influences from hotels, from restaurants,
Right.
even an at-large resident, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
they don't own a business, they're just an at-large resident, so they can look at it from just a residence
Right,
standpoint.
good.
Plus, then the city's represented, and then, of course, the chamber and the Main Street. So we've kind of included all of our marketing groups in that, so I'm pretty confident that this could be really
Yeah.
a good thing. So, Bob, did you have a comment?
No.
I think to answer your question, I think when we go away somewhere, any of us, we have those little places we find, we discover, and they're often the reasons we want to go back. We want people to find those here.
Right. Okay.
And I appreciate the clarification, because the only question that came to me was about the 2% versus the 5%, and they were afraid that we would lose some of that money for our youth programs. And so you clarified that, and I want to make sure people understand that that 2% will remain with that.
Yeah, that's already an existing
Yep.
commitment.
Program.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Larry. Okay, I think the next item is item number 2, which is a presentation by Teresa, but I don't.
She's here.
Oh,
She's here.
there she is.
She slid in quietly.
Which is weird.
And
You said that, not me.
Quiet doesn't go with you, does it?
It doesn't, I just slipped in. So first of all, thank you so much for taking this opportunity, for giving me this opportunity to kind of explain some things.
And who are you, by the way?
I am State Representative Teresa Martinez, born and raised in Casa Grande, Arizona, class of '86 Cougars, and then high school substitute.
And you came to our meeting.
Yes, and then everybody has to pray for Jeff Lavender, who not only,
There you go.
because he had my little boy, and that was a handful there. It was explained to me at the legislature by a colleague, that the way it goes is city council, county, state ledge, federal. And they said that it was a line up and down. And I came back and I said they were mistaken, that the line is actually horizontal, and that the city works with the county, works with the state representatives, and works. And so I've always thought that this job is a partnership, and I'll be honest with you, I can't do it without you. I simply just cannot. I don't even want to try. This needs to be a partnership. And so when I first got appointed, I sat down with the mayor and Mr. Raines, and I said, tell me what we're doing, what we want. And the first thing he said was, I-10. And the last thing he said was, I-10. And I can tell you through the cooperation of Mr. Shope, of Senator Shope, that bill was ran through. What you may not know is it got stuck in the House, and I had to go fish it out, beg, plead, borrowed, through fits, the whole 9 yards, to get it heard by May 13th, so that we could have that extra additional funds that the feds were giving us. Since then, I had ADOT come into my home, I did live there for a little bit, to my office, and I said, that's great, but what are we doing in the interim? And I do love my truck drivers, so I asked for their forgiveness, but ADOT has now since put the next 22 miles from Casa Grande to Chandler a trucks-only lane, and that seems to help. Yeah. The next step for I-10 is going to be, I plan on visiting them and having them in my office to provide updates on where we're at there. What you have in front of you, so that's what the I-10, just as you know, I'm going to be on that like white on rice, because it is extremely important that it doesn't just get bogged up in bureaucracy. I tell people that I speak several languages, English, Spanish, and one of them is government bureaucracy, so know that I will be working with that agency. Moving on to other projects, we have this budget of the 23. This is just highlights. These are just highlights that we got in the budget. A lot of people have asked questions about budget. It was a bipartisan budget, I will have you know as well. This is not just a Republican budget, it is a cooperative budget. So we're going to see things in there that address homelessness and that address border security, that address education, and also address, election integrity. So we paid down debts, and we did donate, well, not donate, but a lot, I guess is the right word, to water and water infrastructure, over about $1 billion for that agency. And I can also, if you would like, provide, Larry, did I provide the outline for the WIFA for how that money is going to be allocated? Okay, so what I will do next week is I will make sure that you all get a copy, because I think understanding how that agency is now going to work is going to give us a better handle on the water. Specifically going to Casa Grande, we can go to the next slide, or whatever slide is next, the next one after that, next one after that. And I guess that's not that one as well. Go ahead. Okay, so now we're going to go to the budget. So I did have on page, let's see, number 7, line item 230. I wanted to kind of point out some stuff. We're going to have over 209 million or billion, let's see here. Border Security Fund, we're going to have $20 million. We're going to go do some money for the Cochise County Jail, $15 million to local law enforcement, and $10 million to reduce trafficking and human smuggling, $30 million to local prosecution, $10 million to the National Guard, another $10 million to emergency care and testing, $15 million in transportation, $53.4 million to the sheriffs for a stipend. That particular one is basically going to be about $10,000 bonus for every deputy that stays onto the department. and then a $5,000 signing bonus, and that's to all the counties in the state of Arizona. And I thought that was a significant amount. Going to page number 8, specifically addressing the Casa Grande, line item number 264, we got $1.9 million for the canine facility. So that's going to be here in Casa Grande. If we go down to page 10, I went through some highlighted items, and this is all going to be Pinal County. Obviously, line 326 is the widening to Casa Grande, but we also have stuff for inflation, stuff for Maricopa, we have stuff for Hunt Highway, we have stuff for Coolidge and a stoplight, improvements for the 347, and then a study, a Tier 2 study for the North and South Corridor. On page 14, specific to Casa Grande, we're going to have $15 million in a grant through the Arizona Commerce Authority, where Nikola and Lucid can apply for this money to help with water infrastructures, pipes, wiring, those kinds of things, so that will help them. And then another $15 million from the ARPA funds. One last thing, and this cost is, do you have the other thing, the next one? The budget? Okay, do you have a copy for me? Oh, shoot.
Here.
All right.
Here,
Oh,
I'll share.
okay, I'll just take Jeff's right quick. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to let you know what I was asking for and what I was able to get. Again, I know that you appreciate my efforts. I know that you do. But it's the results you want. And ultimately, that's what we owe the voters. That's what we owe the constituency. That's what we owe every resident in Pinal County, Casa Grande, Maricopa, Eloy, Arizona City.
Well spoken.
So, well, I'm not done speaking yet, so we'll see how that goes. So my number one ask was $30 million for the Arizona Commerce Authority. Now, mind you, I've only been there for about 6 months. And literally, I was dropped there with no training, just sink or swim. I know what I'm doing now, which is going to bring me up to the second part, but we'll go through this real quick. What I asked for, $30 million, I got back 15 for sure, and then the other 15 I'm going to have to fight for ARPA. We're just going to have to fight for it. I asked for $19 million to State Route 238 and or $19 million. I got it for the 347. I'll take it. I'll take that 19 for the 347. I got $800,000 for the 238 for a study. Now, I was told by Maricopa that I'm going to have to go fight with ADOT because they want to use it for their stuff and not the study. And so they're going to be meeting with me in about 2 weeks to talk about that specifically. So I'll be meeting with ADOT very, very soon in my office. $19 million for the 347, the long-lasting language. Number 4, and we're going to have to fix this long term. It costs $0, but it is impactful because of the federal funds. So as you know, Casa Grande, I near about had a heart attack when they told me, Casa Grande is considered part of Phoenix metropolitan areas for DISH funding for hospitals through the federal government. I assured them we are not part of Phoenix metropolitan area, and that clearly is a mistake. And so in a footnote in the budget, Casa Grande is for this year going to be designated in a separate line item, which will qualify us for federal funds for the Casa Grande Hospital, for the Banner Hospital. Long term, now, so that costs the state $0 funds, but because we reclassified it, it's going to allow federal funds to go in there. But we're going to have to fix that long term, because what I don't want to have happen is have a state representative fight for this over and over and over again. Let's just fix it. Let's just fix it ongoing. $600,000 for Pinal County. I did not get that. So I thought that it was important that I include what I did not get. I asked for $15 million, raise for DPS, and $20 million for Department of Corrections. I'm not going to lie, the governor wanted that as well, so that was pretty easy for me to get. $75 million for DPS infrastructure. I only got 10. I know 75 is a lot to ask. I got 10. I'm a rookie. I'm going to get better at this. The 1.9 million for the canines and the I-10 money, and 15 million for the 24. That's a long story. I'll be honest with you, because I'm a kiss and tell kind of gal. It was bipartisan because we had Republicans not want to jump in on the budget. That's just the fact. And in the initial meeting, they had asked for $15 million for the 24, and they said that it was not enough, and they needed an additional $15 million for the 24. Doesn't really affect us here in Casa Grande, but it's part of Pinal County, and I thought it'd be worth mentioning. They only got 15 because that particular member voted against his own project. I might get called some ugly names, but I'm going to tell you, I will never vote against Pinal County, Casa Grande, Maricopa on my own projects. I need that money for roads, for water, for jobs, and I'm going to fight for every single penny I can get. Which leads me to my sort of end of my presentation. What do you guys want?
Water.
Water, okay. I'm working on that. But
I know you are, thank you.
But what else do we want? What do you want me? Remember I said I'm the running back, you're the coach? Okay, coach, what's the game plan? And I humbly ask you for all of your input. And we got it until January. So the way it starts in the legislature is November we start dropping bills. So by November, this November, I have to have all the bills that I'm going to put together in place. By January, I have to have all my appropriation requests. Do we need money for roads? Do we need money for lights? Do we need money for infrastructure? I hear a great presentation on tourism. What is it that we want to do? And I'm looking for stakeholder meetings. I've started education stakeholder meetings with the superintendents, and we're going to continue those stakeholder meetings. But I need your guys' input. I need your guys' thoughts, including Mr. Raines. What do we as a city, what do you want me to go fight for?
There's a big list.
I'll take it.
Transportation dollars, I think, is one of our biggest needs.
Okay, so just as a,
Stoplights, road widening, stuff like that, help from the state.
okay,
That's what I hear a lot from
Yeah,
people.
there's a bunch of stuff too. There's some stuff on the PRTA that I need to talk to you about, but that gets kind of complicated. So, but I do want to publicly say, Teresa, you've done an amazing job. Thank you for all your support for the city of Casa Grande. You really went above and beyond this last year, so, and it is greatly appreciated, so
well,
thank you.
well, thank you. And just know that I'm very serious when I say I need you as a team. So I look forward to maybe getting a list. I don't know how you want to do this. If you guys want to talk about a list and send it to me, I'm happy to get that. Again, just the deadlines in November are the bills, and
Yep.
January is budget.
We will get you a list, I promise.
Okay.
One of the things I would like to see is a feasibility study for the plans that have been sent. They've been sent to, actually, the Senate and the House agreed on sending the plans into Washington DC.
For
What's that?
Water.
For the water?
Water.
Okay.
The pipeline.
And then the Conservation District did the very same thing. And what we really need is a feasibility study so people can say, okay, well, how much does that cost? Well, here's kind of the realm of it. And there's a lot of saving on that, because can you the amount of water that disappears in an open ditch, but in a pipe it doesn't? It's concealed there, and it would be 1,000 miles of pipe. But once it came in and gets behind those dams, it could do that forever on.
And you know, I remember us talking about the lining of the ditches and that being a budget request. And I'll make sure to work on that. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Powell.
And I need some more of your cards.
Oh, okay.
Lavender?
Representative Martinez, I want to echo the mayor's comments. It's been a real pleasure to watch you sink or swim. You've done a phenomenal job. And I appreciate the fact that you've taken a real 360-degree view of what goes on and advocated for all. Just some things that I would mention to you. City, school districts, county are all got key votes coming up in November.
Overrides.
Your support
Yeah.
would be vital. 15 to 20% for public safety is phenomenal. But education, you talked about dollars, but I can tell you that the teachers in our district only got a 5% raise this year with 9% inflation. It's going the other direction. I know there are all kinds of moving parts, but we are going to open school across the state the next couple of weeks, and we'll have well over 1,000 classrooms across the state with unqualified teachers or not fully certified or fully qualified teachers in those classrooms. We've got to find a way to draw and attract more into it like you're trying to do with public safety. But you've done a phenomenal job. But your voice in helping convince our citizens of the importance of these votes upcoming is critical.
Well, thank you for that. And I think that's why the stakeholder meetings are so important now with the education. And so I think the only superintendent I have not met with are, ironically enough, the ones in Casa Grande. But no, and Mr. Lavender, I would love to have you part of those stakeholder meetings because I think education is going to be, that's our foundation of our community.
I just want to say, Teresa, I know that we're going to be meeting soon, so.
Yes.
On a couple different topics that are non-city related, but it certainly will have an effect on Casa Grande and Pinal County as we move forward in trying to help families in need, so I look forward to that.
And I look forward to that too. Thank you.
Bob?
I would like to add on to Mr. Powell's comments about water. I know you attended the meeting here a couple weeks ago where the harvesting of Mississippi River floodwater was discussed. And it's obvious from the budget and the governor's comments that there is an equally compelling group that wants to do desalination with the money that's been allotted. I would like to have a continuing information flow of where we are headed and what we are looking at. And I would also like to see a combined effort. I don't know that the state is equally looking at the project that Mr. Powell talks about and desalination, or if they've already focused on one, but there's no sense in us pushing in different directions. I think we all need to get on the same page and support whatever the logical outcome is. But I don't know that that's being done yet, and I would be interested to see somewhat of an ad hoc committee get together and discuss both of these options and come to a conclusion. I think from our standpoint, I tend to support Mr. Powell's idea of the floodwater harvesting, but it seems like the desalination is getting the attention right now.
It is getting the attention. First of all, thank you for the idea of the ad hoc. I think that is a brilliant idea, and I'll certainly take that to leadership. When it comes to the desalination, I know that there's been a lot of folks that are really looking at that in exchange for a quick fix with the Colorado River rights. But if there's no water there, then it doesn't matter where we get the rights from. And with the floodwaters from the Mississippi or from Iowa, I think people are starting to look at that. What I will do next week is I will make sure to follow up on the water specifically, and then I'll also include a diagram how the WIFA board is going to be out, because as you know, that agency is kind of going to have some changes, and I think that might be helpful for you all. So I'll make sure to do that, and thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Well, thanks again for coming, Representative Martinez. You know what, you've only been there for a few months, and I appreciate it's your second or third time, I think, coming. And, you know, that's what's great, having someone new that is trying to learn and listen to people's ideas and get input. So we can definitely see your passion, and especially for this community. I echo some of the, the same, ideas or, concerns that we have. Obviously, public safety, infrastructure, transportation, education, of course, the end, I-10. I'm going to end it with I-10 also. But no, the stakeholder meetings is critical. And I think, you're so good in dealing with people that, by you getting out there and diversifying those stakeholder groups and getting people's input, and just so they can see a face. Know that they know that you're from here, you care, you live here. So I think that's a great idea, and I appreciate you doing that and just being here for us and asking the input, and we know you'll do a great job. So
Well, thank you, and I'll put you down as a yes for the stakeholder.
I just wanted to, we were really happy to have Bob there to listen to the meeting. And one of the things, 3 of the past governors are way against desal. And what desal is going to do is grab a bunch of the Indian water out of the Colorado River and send it to Mexico. That doesn't help our dams a damn bit. And so it's not a good plan.
Matt, you have a question? Just comment too. I just also want to commend you. I won't beat it to death, but you hit the ground running, and I've got to see you at a lot of events as well around town, like not just at city council meetings, but you're active out there with the people. And I did mention the infrastructure because that's one of the hugest costs we have as a city, and really hard for us to to plan for and budget, because we can only do a little bit at a time. So that would help us a lot. Another thing that's interesting is in your ask here, which is a pretty impressive list, by the way. But like the 30 million from ACA, which is great. You got Lucid, you got Nikola. But we've had small businesses in this area for 40 years, 50 years, 10 years, all kinds of small businesses. And a lot of times people look past, oh, we're getting this, but we need help with education, again, like with our Drive 48 type situation, but also to help these smaller businesses recruit, retain employees, educate employees, because now we're competing with these with these larger companies. So it's important to not forget who built these communities that we're living in, as well as who's coming here now, because we're very grateful that we're the electric car manufacturing hub of the world, almost. But, there's a lot of support activities that goes into that, and we need to be able to provide the support that all of these businesses needs. And if that's through tourism, through getting people here, there's a lot of ways to do it, but I just want to make sure that we remember, where our roots are.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. One of the things that went through legislation but got nowhere, and I like it, but I think we need to kind of flush out the bugs, is one of the things that they wanted to do is take high school credit and allow somebody who's a junior or a senior who can work, get high school credit for I think like 6 weeks, get a partial credit if they worked at some place. And maybe that might be something the small businesses would, but I would absolutely be open to any kind of legislation or any kind of budget request items that we can do. I say often, they said, oh, did you hit the ground running? And sometimes I feel like I just hit the ground, And it was a lot coming at you at once, so I immediately went with just what came off the top of my head. But
Did a great job.
well, thank you, but
We continue
but
forward.
I know what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
And if with some planning, and if we get a plan together, a strategy together of how we can go and attack and get what we need, and what I know the other representatives will either get on the bus or be rolled over it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can be on the bus or under it, because this train is coming through. And thank you for your comments, because I certainly know that this is not the last time you're gonna see me, and we can work together for next session, and it's gonna be a phenomenal session.
Representative Teresa Martinez, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, appreciate it.
We'll stand adjourned until 7 o'clock.
I'm gonna go get some cards.